Good evening, future techies. My name is Ryan Kirchner, and I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment here for the Purdue Polytechnic Institute at Purdue University's West Lafayette main campus. I want to welcome you to our second YouTube live broadcast. Our topic tonight will be why choose the Purdue Polytechnic Institute. I'm joined by three panelists who will introduce themselves here in a minute, but I also have some little housekeeping things that I want to get through in regards to the chat and how you can interact with us tonight. You can join our chat here on the YouTube live broadcast. You do that by creating an account through YouTube, and you don't have to post any videos after the fact. You can just chat with us. But we have a couple technical behind-the-scenes directors answering those questions and sending them also to me, so that if there are some questions that we think would be good for the panelists to answer, we'll make sure that we get those answered tonight. You could also email us at techrecruit@purdue.edu. I'll be monitoring that email address tonight and also responding to those questions if we don't get to them tonight, but we'll make sure that we answer your question. So you can submit those questions. We want to hear from you, so interact with us and chat with the moderators on the chat, and we'll hopefully get to your questions tonight with our panelists as well. So with that, I'll start with Lucy here to introduce herself, and we'll go down the line, and then we'll get into our topics.
All right, hello. My name is Lucy Gottwalls. I'm a graduate of the Polytechnic. I majored in computer information technology, and I graduated in May 2017. I'm here with you now because I don't start my work until October, so I thought I'd take some time to answer some questions.
Hi, I'm Gary Bertolini. I'm the Dean of the Polytechnic Institute. And for those that don't know it, a dean basically is responsible for the entire operation of this large college at Purdue.
Hi everyone, I'm Pat Conley. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs and Learning Innovation. I'm also currently serving as the Interim Department Head for Technology Leadership and Innovation. I've been with Purdue for 21 years and very happy to be here this evening.
All right. Well, thank you all very much again for being here. So this, like I mentioned before, this is our second broadcast, and our first broadcast was about what is the Polytechnic Institute. And so just for those who maybe weren't able to join us in that first broadcast, I actually want to have Pat, our panelist here, who wasn't here with the first one, tell us a little bit about what he would describe the Polytechnic as, and if someone were to ask you in a 1 or 2 minute description, how would you describe the Polytechnic?
The Polytechnic is the coolest place on earth. That's just it.
Good answer.
The Polytechnic is a place where we've tried to turn the undergraduate learning experience totally on its head and recreate that experience so that it is much more active, much more hands-on, much more intuitive for the students, much more coaching and mentoring for the faculty. So what we're trying to do is take natural learning and make it part and parcel of what we do every day.
All right. I think that's a pretty good description.
Yeah.
All right. So first topic that we want to talk about, and you kind of touched on it a little bit already, Pat, is for students who are interested in the technology programs that we offer, the academic programs that we have, what is it about those programs that you would say really interests students into choosing those academic majors in the Polytechnic? What about the teaching methods and the labs and team projects maybe that students would get to be involved in that would entice them to choose the Polytechnic Institute?
I think that if I had to sum it up in brief terms, it would be about the applied nature of learning.
Okay.
There's a theoretical side to learning, and then there's a practical, hands-on, applied aspect. And what we try and focus on in the Polytechnic is, it's great to know this stuff, but how is it really applied in the real world, and why does that make a difference? And then if you expand your thinking, how can that solve the real challenging problems the world faces? That's what makes it, I think, so valuable, is that our graduates go out as problem solvers. They know how to use what they've learned in a real world setting.
Any additional thoughts, Dean Bertolini?
Sure. What he said. In addition to that, our majors are very much cutting edge. They're always leading with the most modern technologies. We have really good laboratories, software, facilities are really good. So any student that come to the Polytechnic, you will find that you are using industry standard kinds of equipment or software. You're learning things that are immediately applicable to your job, and it's very much leading edge. So if you want to know the latest in various technologies, this is the place to go to.
Often with real-world industry partners
Yep.
helping coach and teach.
Yep.
Okay, and what kind of format would that come into play?
It comes into play in lots of different things. The capstone courses, the lab courses. It could be any kind of a dial-in or distance learning. We have guest speakers come in from industry all the time. We have industry advisory boards that work with each one of our departments to help make sure our stuff is cutting edge and the latest and greatest.
We also emphasize internships. And in fact, it's becoming a requirement for all of our majors. And we think that's really important because that's where you really get into the way industry works. There's only so much we can do in a laboratory setting on a campus, but once you get out in the real world and see how it works, it makes a big, big difference. And that's a real differentiator for our majors.
And so, Lucy, having just graduated from the Polytechnic, how would you explain your classroom and lab experiences? What did you experience when you were here in classes?
Yeah, I would say that definitely labs provide a greater understanding of the material. So if you're learning, let's say you're learning how to query a database, and you learn how to make the commands in your lecture, until you actually go in the lab, type in those commands, and see if it works, you're not going to actually know how to interface with the database. So getting that lab time, I mean, you're going into labs freshman year, so having that, actual practical experience is going to help you get that internship the next year when you can talk about that in your interview. I've worked with this equipment that your company also uses because we're all using, like you said, industry standard equipment.
Absolutely. And we have a link actually right now on one of the graphics, polytechnic.purdue.edu/answering the call, and that talks about the different learning environments that students will utilize and experience when they're here with the Polytechnic Institute as well. All right, so I think you mentioned the industry advisory boards and making sure that we're really talking about in our classrooms the cutting edge, the leading industry experiences and knowledge that students would need. Does that play into the curriculums and the plan of study that are eventually implemented for the students to experience?
Absolutely. As the leader of the college, I've been trying to emphasize to the faculty that we constantly keep up with the latest technology. So our faculty travel all over the world. They're learning about what's going on in the world. They stay up to date. In some cases, they're leading research in their particular discipline, and that keeps them on the cutting edge also. But we're constantly refreshing that and updating the curriculum. And so we've actually added a number of new majors just in the last 2 or 3 years. The newest major is one in cybersecurity, which is just added to the CIT department, where Lucy graduated from. And obviously that's an area of very, very high demand, and we have a lot of students that have entered that program in its first year. We added a program 2 years ago in gaming studies in the computer graphics program under Pat's leadership, and that also has huge interest and demand from industry for those kinds of jobs. So that's what we do constantly. We're constantly adding new disciplines or new majors. We're adding another new one that'll start this fall in human resource development. And that one we're pretty excited about too, because there's a lot of needs in industry to really assist companies in hiring the best type of people for the situation, but also helping them to retrain and stay up to date. And so we're very excited about that new major.
Another aspect of that too is that as our faculty are involved in cutting edge research, a lot of times they pull the students in to actually be involved in that research. So our students are getting cutting edge exposure even before they get out into R&D types of applications.
Absolutely, that's great. So Lucy, how would you say the curriculum here with your plan of study and your program prepared you for your upcoming career?
Yeah, I would say, again, we have really good technical classes, so learning on the industry standard equipment gives me sort of an edge up on anybody else that came from maybe a different college that didn't have that sort of thing. But then also, our plan of study has many different classes, from communications classes to various selectives you can take. So a lot of the communication classes help me because I'm actually going to be a IT consultant. So I'm going to need to be, talking to clients, making presentations. So it's really important to have those sort of skills going into the business world.
So, as you just mentioned, one of the main reasons I think that students obviously go into college is to get a degree and then ultimately get a job, leading to a successful career. So what would you say the payoff is for our students coming out of the Polytechnic? We have some actual placement data on our website that you can see, but what is it beyond just their job? What is it that they're getting prepared for their careers here at the Polytechnic?
If I could jump in before the dean does, because this is a passion with Gary, but it's about lifelong learning.
Okay.
It's about not only learning skills that are effective today, but we know that the technology world changes so quickly that our graduates are going to have to recreate themselves technically every 2 to 3 years. And so part of what we teach is how to learn, right? And so our graduates are lifelong learners, and they know that they're constantly refreshing their skill set because it's an evolve or die kind of technology world we live in. If you don't grow with the technology, you're going to be left behind very quickly.
So, yeah, I would say the same thing, but add that all of our majors have very, very high placement rates. These are very high demand jobs, and that goes back to the curriculum and making sure that the curriculum is up to date. But it's more than just getting a job. As Pat said, it's about sustaining that, and you learn how to learn. You learn that technology never stops, and you can't stop as a learner. We also, I believe, we prepare leaders. The students naturally come out because they've been put into so many settings where they're working on team-based projects, where they're giving challenging problems on their own that they have to work out on their own, that many of them end up in the leadership positions very soon after they graduate, because they just tend to have those innate abilities that they've been able to nurture here at Purdue, and it really helps them succeed.
Lucy, you want to talk a little bit about what exactly will you be doing? You mentioned before with your IT consultant position. What does that mean exactly for you?
So I'll be working for Accenture, and I'll be consulting in their infrastructure department. So any sort of digital services. So maybe, I haven't actually gone there yet, but let's say we have a client that needs, we need to make sure that their network is configured correctly. Is it secure? Is it in a really pragmatic way where it's very efficient? So that sort of thing. And that can range from any industry. So we could help banks, we could help healthcare. So a wide breadth of what I could be doing. But as far as the payoff, I had a job signed in January, so I didn't have to worry the rest of the semester. My salary with benefits starting will be 6 figures, so that is very exciting.
What?
I think I need to go back and get my CIT degree at this point. Oh, that's very fantastic.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, speaking more about the payoff, how does the Polytechnic then support students in finding, as mentioned before, internships and then ultimately full-time career opportunities as well?
Yeah, well, I think we do a really good job in placement. I know the CIT department, they have their own job fair.
Yep.
The construction management program, they have their own job fair. They have to turn companies away, and so our students graduating out of many programs have multiple job opportunities. And so there's actually quite a few job fairs that go on during the year, but the big thing is when you get a internship, many times that internship will turn into a job. Our senior capstone projects, most students will have one that is sponsored by a company. That can turn into jobs. The interactions that you have on a daily basis with guest speakers, for example. I was just today exchanging some emails with John Deere. They're going to be here on campus next week, and they've specifically focused on one of our majors, and they want to do interviews prearranged, so we're working on that. They also want to come and speak to some of the classes in the engineering technology program. So those things happen really weekly, if not daily in many cases, and so there's actually more jobs out there than we have graduates in most of our majors.
With regards to internships, I think that many of our students have what we call the what I like to call the wild card factor, in that they have that little bit more, that when they show a company what they've got, the company says, ooh, and they immediately make the short list for internship or full-time job consideration because of the nature of the Polytechnic educational experience. And maybe it's communication skills or leadership skills or beyond the bare technical skills, which, as Gary said, are cutting edge. We've also got this broader application, and people are saying, oh, well, I want this person to work for me. And of course that naturally then in an internship will naturally lead to a job offer.
Sure.
And then you can cruise your last semester, right?
So yeah, how kind of internships did you end up getting?
Yeah,
with your time here?
one directly came from the computing career fair, which I think is actually happening this week. Yeah, so I didn't even know the company before going, but they drew me in, told me a little about their company. We hit it off, so they invited me to come interview on campus a couple of days later, and that went well, so I went on site, and then that also went well, so they gave me an internship offer. Another actually came from when I went to this, it's called Grace Hopper Women in Computing, and my department would take like 10 or 15 girls with them, and we would go down to wherever the conference was being held, and they had a huge career fair there, so I got an internship with JP Morgan Chase there. That was a good starter internship as far as learning about, it's like a huge corporation, so getting that sort of preview into corporate life, it's very enlightening.
Very cool. I also want to mention we have a student-developed portal that's online called Tech Connect, where students can utilize they'll upload their resume and a profile, research internship opportunities, full-time opportunities, as well as I think senior capstones are going to be posted on those as well, so students can research those and try to get involved with those companies through that. And I believe we just had the career fair portal or the career fair website just up there a little bit ago, and then John's put up our Polytechnic portal, the Tech Connect portal, for you to take a look at as well. Let's see, what else we want to talk about. We mentioned before that I think we've mentioned technology is a very global idea. It's around the world. Everybody uses technology, maybe in different ways depending on where you live. So what kind of globalization and study abroad opportunities might students have with the Polytechnic that would give them that experience?
Well, every program in the college has a required globalization component, globalization and culture. And the goal for that is to expose as many students as possible to an immersive global experience. I'm a firm believer that you really don't comprehend global issues until you've lived outside your own bubble. And so we love having students go on study abroad. We love extended study abroad, semester abroad kinds of things, internship abroad. These are all things that we readily embrace and encourage. We have a very strong globalization office that works very hard at providing opportunities literally all over the world. And we have some very strong programs for that. But even for students who, for one reason or another, can't travel internationally, we have on campus and in the Polytechnic globalization experiences, and we can reach out through technology and have collaborative classroom experiences with international touches, and a lot of our class projects and capstone projects are focused on globalization issues.
There's been a real emphasis on globalization at Purdue University in general, but I believe our college is probably leading the university in the number of opportunities. Just this morning I was talking to one of our alumni, and he donated over $100,000 for scholarships. So there's a lot of scholarships that we offer students to study abroad. But it's not just about studying abroad. I mean, Pat mentioned, to be more specific, we actually, some of our senior capstone projects are with international companies, and so one in particular is in Germany, and the students actually are able to work on projects with their German counterparts in the university in Germany, and that's an example how you start learning about global kinds of issues.
Did you have a study abroad experience?
I did not, but I really regret it.
Okay, fair enough.
There's graduate school, you can always go.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe this will be more of a little pop quiz for you all. So what would you say some of the jobs that students coming out of our different programs would get specifically?
Where to start?
Yeah.
Where to start? Oh my goodness. Well, some of our hottest programs. Okay, so
Sure.
if we look at what's very popular right now in the School of Aviation Technology, of course, our flight program. If we could have more planes, we could have more students. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the thing. But also, if you look at the other majors in that school, the Aviation Engineering Technology program is got incredible demand, and they get to do the coolest stuff. And you can go right down through every department or school in the college. In CIT, the CIT major is very popular, but the cybersecurity one that Gary mentioned before is so relevant today and so important, and going to be just very exciting for a while to come, I think. In CGT, we've got gaming and animation and cool things going on in construction graphics, building information modeling using virtual reality and augmented reality, and in the robotics program and mechatronics programs in the School of Engineering Technology. It just goes on and on.
Yeah,
you know.
you're right.
And the touches on those programs are unlimited and multifaceted. A student can go out from CIT and go in 30 different directions. Right? It's so relevant. That's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, and it actually ranges from, very traditional kinds of companies. So we have students that get placed in GE and GM and Ford, IBM. But then we have other students that work in Hollywood because of the gaming and animation areas. We have people working for Tesla and for Apple computers, and you name it. It's across the entire spectrum, both within the state of Indiana and all over the United States and internationally.
Yeah, even little known places like San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's heard that before, right? Very cool. Well, John actually has the Find Your Major link, so you can take a look at all the different majors that we have available with the Polytechnic Institute. And actually on each one of the majors' main pages, list companies that students could go to work for and sample job titles that students could get coming out of that major specifically. Well, I think we're almost going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but are there any other last thoughts you would like to leave us with our viewers at home?
I would, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So, there's a lot of great universities and great colleges and programs around the nation. And as a high school senior, it's a big decision. We understand that. But I'd suggest you take a real hard look at the Polytechnic. First of all, we're at Purdue University, and Purdue University is one of the best universities actually in the world. And I talk about this a lot. There's 35,000 universities on the earth, and Purdue is normally ranked in the top, 50 or 60 in the world. So that puts us in pretty good company. For public universities, the Wall Street Journal, who knows a little bit about business, ranked us number 4 in the nation, so that's getting up there pretty well. The Polytechnic itself, we have programs that are best in the nation in rankings. We actually are a very unique kind of college and program at a major research university like Purdue. And so you can look pretty hard and not really find some of the programs around the nation that we offer. But more importantly, even if they do offer them, they probably don't offer them the way we do. And we've talked about some of the ways that we impact learning and some of the things that students experience while they're here. And so, again, I suggest you take a good hard look at what we're up to. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and industry really needs people in the STEM disciplines. And so seriously look at this as a career, and you can apply whatever major we have into about any industry sector that you want.
I'm not sure I can add much to that, except that one of the greatest things about being in the Polytechnic is the partnership. It's not faculty and students, with this divide in between. It's a partnership in learning, and that makes it really fun. It's really, really fun. It's a good experience.
Lucy, anything you would want to add?
go to Purdue. That's all I can say.
Boiler up.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we did have one question that came through, and it was actually specific to admissions, the application process. And actually, that's going to be our next topic. On Monday evening, September 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we will be right back here. I'll be here. These three won't be. But I'll be here with one of our admissions counselors who will be answering questions and discussing the application process, what a required application, the components of it, deadlines, and all those important factors that go into applying to Purdue specifically. So if you join us again next week, you can go to polytechnic.purdue.edu/live, and that will take you to the links of that broadcast, as well as you can rewatch this broadcast and all of our other ones that we've done over the last 6 months or so, just to kind of take a look at those and see different experiences and discussions from current students, as well as our dean and associate dean and faculty members from the last broadcast we had. So I do hope you join us for our broadcast next Monday night on applying to the Polytechnic Institute. And again, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to email us at techrecruit@purdue.edu. And otherwise, I hope to see you on Monday. Thank you again to our panelists for joining me tonight, and thank you all at home for watching, and boiler up.